it's me, Renee. I'm back. So yesterday I was wrong. I was convinced the World Book Day was on Friday. No, it's today. But I was gonna do videos all week anyway. So yeah, today, as you can see, is me busting book myths, or kind of trying to kick back at some ideas people have about reading. This is kind of things I've been thinking about myself. I did Google and then I found some other uninteresting book myths, so I'm not really gonna do any of those, but I'm gonna do like the things I'm gonna say. I feel like they're kind of common. So screen me and you'll notice. So first, I want to go with this one first. Some people go around saying, you know what, a moment. Sometimes when you say to people that you love to read, an exchange happens that goes like this. I love. What do you like to do? I love to read. Do you like books? Do you like reading? Reading's boring. It's just so boring. Don't you want to hit those people? At least I do. Well, at least get mad at them. And yeah. So firstly, books are not boring. I mean, just example from this T-shirt. Books helping introverts avoid conversations since 1454. That's when the book printing press happened in Germany. And before that, we have had stories. So like I suppose depending on like how you find a book, like how the book can be so many stuff. But like, what do you think mainly this book is like a story? It could be a non-fiction or fictional story, but a story. And before you had a printing press, people told stories orally, and that's fun. Also, people love films, while for some reason when you read stuff, that's boring. Why? I mean, do you like Lord of the Rings? Do you like Narnia? Do you like Colin Hoover? Do you like Red, White, and Royal Blue? Royal Blue? All those originally books. Yes, could you have had a movie about elves trying to sell the hobbits trying to sell the world without Lord of the Rings? Maybe. But would you have the same book? Would you have the same Would you have the same story? You would not. Would you have this second TV series? You would not. It's based on books. Would you without books would you have had known what's the answer to the universe is? 42? No, you would not, because Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy gave us the answer to the universe and told us about hiking with towels, and all these amazing ideas came from books. It's just honestly, it's just baffling. People go around saying like books is so boring. Like, so you're just boo-hooing a whole concept, a whole medium. You're just going around saying that books as a concept are boring. I mean, honestly, no, just no, because you have not read the right book then, because there is a book about everything, literally everything. I found a book 2 years ago about, it was called Women Don't Poop, which was about uh, like toilets in America and how there were there were often like less toilets for women than there were for men, and like different like toilet anecdotes and stuff. That's a real life book. I have it somewhere. I'm gonna show you some other time. But yeah, that's a book that exists. Last year, a Norwegian comedian came up with a book all about um, a little Pooh who didn't want to go, who was afraid to swim. I mean, it's a kid's book, but it's a book that exists. I mean, there's so many books out there, and you're just saying that books are boring. No, honey, you're boring. I was judgment. But yeah, I mean, you see, there is a book for everyone. There's a book for everything. If you love Manchester United, if you love Liverpool, if you love David Beckham, there's a biography about David Beckham. There's a biography about Manchester United. There's a football quiz book. There's books about everything. Even if you don't really, if you feel like you have hard to read, like maybe you have dyslexia or maybe you have some difficulty to read, there are several books that lots of books out there that don't have like 700 pages and like no paragraphs. Lots of books out there have like pictures and lists and whatnot. There are books out for everyone. Like, for example, if you have dyslexia, check out this book. I mean, it's a book about books. It's a book about words, but still, it's just like 2 sentences. These 2 sentences is one kind of thing. You can read this and then feel like, oh yeah, I read a bit today. You don't have to read a book from start to finish. I've read a book to like to read. Also, like people say like books are boring because they kind of I don't know, maybe they think that books just equals classics, books, so many stuff. Which leading on to the second myth I'm gonna bust. So I might be walking around on a day, people meet me and say, "Hey, what do you do?" I love to read. I have a Bookstagram account. I have a YouTube account. Reading is what I love. And they say again, okay, so you love to read. What is your favorite Shakespeare book? Or what? What is your favorite? Charles Dickens book? Or how much do you love Proust? And I'm just there like, uh, uh, because I don't really read that many classics. I read some of them, but I don't generally like read just classics. I read mostly modern books, which I don't know. Some people seem to think like if someone who doesn't really read at all, I think like okay, so if you read that, then you automatically read classics, and that's what you do, or read classics and some other stuff. And no, that's not what I do. I read modern books. I don't really read classics. If you don't like Shakespeare or Ibsen or Oscar Wilde or what like those old like Jane Austen, or if you don't like Charles Dickens, don't think that you don't like to read. Because I mean, there's books coming out every single day of the year. More or less. I mean, I suppose now with self-publishing, yes, but like there's books coming out every single week. I mean, like if you read in English, there's like a huge English market, and you think all of those are like highbrow, sophisticated things. No, a lot of them are bankers and weird and fantastical, or they might be poet books. I mean, there's so many books out there. You don't have to like classics to read. That's no, that's not true at all, at all. And now, onto a different scenario. So I might be walking on the road in zone. Hey, what do you like to do? I like to read. You like to read, do you? Huh. I used to like to read. Now I don't have time. And I'm like, mm-hmm. So you have time to go to yoga, Pilates, work a full-time job. You have time to make food for your kids' lunch. You have time to go to Paris and London and Rome every other weekend. But for some reason you don't have time to read. I mean, it's not like readers have any more time to read than you do. It's not like the readers we have a secret that we shh don't tell people this. But really, readers, we live in a world with 10 days in a week, not 7. We have extra days. That's not a thing. That's not what happens. I mean, simply put, well, also like a lot of readers, not all readers, like a lot of readers are also different. Some readers love to read slowly. They might read 12 books a year, like one book a month. Or they might read 52 books a year, like one book each week. They might read 3 books a year, but still love those 3 books. Being a reader isn't about the amount of books you read. It isn't either about how often you read, but it is about that you love to read. And if you if you read, for example, during the summer in July, European summer, if you read 3 5 books that you loved, then you're a reader. You don't have to be a person who reads all year round. You can't just be a reader who reads occasionally. But also, yeah, if you want to read like generally, it's not like readers. Yeah, we don't have extra time to read. We just, at least in my case, it's something that I love to read, so I read a lot because that's kind of my main hobby. But people do like they read, but they also do other stuff. So like for example, if you like to jog, if you like to go to the gym, if you like to go hitchhiking, or sorry, hitchhiking, if you like to go hiking in mountains, put an audiobook on. Then then you get some reading in while you do stuff. You can also yeah, audiobooks are also great. Like if you need to clean your house for some reason, well, people need to do that. People do that. Not me. Maybe people do it. Uh, Listen to an audiobook while you do it. If you're, for example, waiting on a bus, put a, pick up a book and read while waiting for the bus. I mean, there's so many times in the day when you have to wait for people, when you have to yeah, when you have to clean stuff up, when just, or maybe you have a partner, but he wakes up 2 hours before you and you don't want to wake him. For some reason, you don't sleep as well, don't sleep as much. Wake up 2 hours before and put on an audiobook in your ear, or kind of hide in a corner and read a bit. I mean, there's plenty of times when you can read. Or you could just simply, like, you could, instead of going to bed at like 11 or half past 10 o'clock and then scrolling on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram for like 2 hours, have a book on your nightstand, pick that one up, read for half an hour, and then sleep. I mean, you don't really need to actually, like, if you just read half an hour before you sleep every day, that counts. That makes you a reader. I mean, that's also, yeah, people have to sleep. No, some people might think like, oh, I had a long day, stressful day. Oh, I'm tired, but I can't go to sleep. Reading kind of makes your brain slow down. It makes it easier to go from active to sleepy mode. So yeah, great way. Read before you sleep. Easily. No worries there really. And then I have a last, yeah, I have a last scenario. Walking about and talking to some people. Oh yeah, you read, do you? Like what you're reading right now. Oh yeah, there's this great audiobook that Stephen Fry is narrating. Uh, an audiobook, you say? An audiobook? That's not reading. I asked what you're reading, not what you're listening to. And yeah, that is just ignorance and stupidity. Because an audiobook, you know what that is? That's just someone reading a text and reading the text out loud to you. It's the same text as if I was reading it myself. But I suppose some books are kind of like are kind of shortened. Like you could have a shortened version of Les Miserables. You could have a shortened version of, yeah, like the bigger books. Some of them are like shortened on audio, but they also exist. Like most of them also exist on several versions. Like most books have like an audiobook where the whole book is read out loud. Like they even like they also like read they read the word again. What's the word again? They read like the dedication in the beginning. They read the thank you in the end of the book. They read like author notes and author this author wants to thank his wife and blah blah blah. Audiobooks are books. Stop thinking they're not. They are books. They are books. Just as valid as any other form. And also, like, yeah, if someone says to you they like to read books on a phone, yeah, ebooks, also books. I don't read them myself, but I don't go around poo-pooing people who read ebooks. Some people have bad eyesight, and with ebooks you could scroll in and make the letters bigger. You can have better light. I mean, there's just so many ways that ebooks are great for people. So again, yeah, stop being stupid and idiots. Audiobooks are books, valid and great. Honestly, for me, sometimes a book kind of becomes just miles and miles better by the narrator because the narrator is doing such a great job. And sometimes they also do like some music intros here and there in the audiobook. And yeah, it's just an amazing medium and I love it. And yeah, people should check it out. I have heard some people say like they tried audiobook and they don't really get to, they don't really feel like they can concentrate or like they fall asleep by listening to audiobooks, which I suppose I could see that. But like in general, like the like the average Joe, yeah, try an audiobook. Audiobooks are amazing. Also, seems like people have been trying audiobooks. At least in Norway, you have the number of people listening to audiobooks have been going up, while the number of people who've been reading physical books have been going down. So that's kind of sad. You want both numbers to going up, but audiobooks are popular, which yay. Also, bonus. So I think a lot of people go around thinking like, I'm not a reader. I like to go work out. I like to go to pub quizzes. I like to go to movies, but I don't really read much. But then you ask them, well, okay, what are you doing lately? And they might saying, oh yeah, loving this podcast about historical time in China, or like a podcast about people in a mining city in Wales. I mean, this obscure, it's kind of, I feel like there's kind of podcast now. I feel like there's kind of podcast about everything. And I kind of feel like lately I'm kind of thinking, you know what? I kind of think you're a reader. Because, yeah, just think about it. What's the difference between a podcast and a non-fiction audio? Not really that much. I mean, some podcasts are interview podcasts where they interview people, but still, I mean, you also have some books where it's kind of like an interview between two people. So that's also a type of book, I would say. Like, what is the difference there? There really isn't. Like, can you pinpoint what is the difference there? Maybe a podcast is kind of like produced by like a podcast producing show and stuff, but like that's kind of the same as a publishing company. So again, I would kind of say you are actually a reader then. You are a reader. That's my point of view, really. That's my idea there. So yeah, but the podcast also thing. Yeah. Now, surprise, surprise, I have some books to show you to like have illustrate. Books can be so much, so much. And now, if you saw my video list yesterday, some of these books are going to be repeats. Some of the books, yeah, here are repeats from other times, but yeah. So, as I said earlier, this is a repeat from earlier this video, but yeah, Word Reps. It's a book based on a Twitter account, so it's just very short fun facts about language. It's about English language, but also language in general. It's like two sentences here and there. You can pick them up, read a few, and then put it down. Not a big commitment, but yeah, if you read this over like a year, over 2 years, or if you just read a bit in this one, congratulations, you read a book. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. One last myth. Walking by the way, some people come say, hi, so what do you do? I love to read books. And they're like, books? You know what? I haven't read a whole book in my entire life. And honestly, I'm proud of that. I'm so proud of that fact about myself. Two things here. Honestly, for me at least, I feel like you're proud. You're proud of never having read a book. I feel like that's a weird thing to be proud of. And I could maybe understand this if you were 14, 12, 13, because then you're like a silly teenager is like, the world is an idiot! And then you're kind of racing against the world. But I've seen people like being interviewed in their 20s, like athletes who say like who interviewed on talk shows is like, you know what? I've never read a book in my life, and I don't really intend to. And I'm like, what? What? That's not something to be proud of. And also, secondly, you never read a book in your life. And I'm pretty sure that most people have read at least one or two in primary school. At least we had to read some books in primary school, and we like had to like go to the library and read some books during like the first years in primary school. We had to read some books. We never really had like a compulsory reading this and this book in my school system, but we had like you were going to pick a book and talk about it in during Norwegian class or sometimes English class. So yeah, we did do that. I suppose you could have maybe you could have picked a book and then just read about it from online and then pretended like you read it. But even then, like, so you never picked up Donald Duck, you never picked up Tintin, you never picked up the Hardy Boys, not a single book, and your parents didn't read a single book aloud to you. You didn't read a you haven't read a joke book. I mean, a lot of kids in their early teens read joke books. You haven't read that. I mean, you haven't read a single book. Honestly, I don't believe that. That's not something I believe. I don't believe that's possible. I don't believe it. But yeah, also, yeah, not having read a single book in your life. If people actually, if that's actually something that they believe, or like if maybe they have read like maybe 2 or 3 books in life, like if they haven't read a book by their own free will, I'm like, honestly, that's sad. That's quite sad because there's just so many amazing books out there. So many amazing books. Now you might be thinking, Renee, you seem like you feel like the whole world should be big as book lover as you are. No, again, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that everyone should read 200 books a year. That everyone should read um, as fast as I do. That everyone should read and buy books and go to a library frequently. I'm not saying that. Readers are different, and people are different. That's fine. I'm just saying that, well, I suppose I'm kind of saying two things. One, I kind of, honestly, I suppose it can be a bit difficult, but I kind of hope that, think it's kind of happening also, but like, I kind of hope that sometime in the future, being a beer reader and loving to read is not seen as so uncool. Because at least for me in the past, like in middle school, I would bring school book, a book to school and read in recess. And what would happen? People would come up to me and say, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm reading a book about a prince, about a spy who's going to save the world." And they're like, "You're," and they just prints up and like, "You're reading a book. You're reading a book. You read books." And they would just laugh at me and tease me and bully me. And yeah, that was not cool. I mean, yeah, I've kept my love for reading, but being bullied for something that you enjoy, not cool. And being bullied for liking to watch a page with letters on it, what? That's just kind of a weird thing to do, really. It is. I mean, I kind of think now that it's kind of easier to be a book reader now than before because of book talk, and I feel like it's not that difficult as it was once upon a time. But I still feel like it's not totally cool. And like, yeah. Also, I recently saw like an interview with like a teen, and where she was asked like, "Why don't you read?" And she's like, "I can't concentrate. Reading is boring, and I can't concentrate reading." I'm like, uh, don't need to read the big, difficult books. Lots of books are quick and fast. For example, this book. You could pick up a book with like this one, which is interview based. It has pictures in it. I mean, there's so many options. So many options. And yeah, also yeah, in regards because I kind of feel like often it's kind of like readers against athletes. Like lots of athletes don't read and lots of readers don't do athletic things, so I suppose there are many readers who also do sports things. I'm just kind of um one of those stereotypical readers who love to read inside, who when it's sunny I go outside and read instead of like going outside and doing other stuff. But like I feel like also like kind of in a way like I feel like even me who don't really like to be that active, who don't really like sports, you'll still kind of be forced to do sports now and then. Like in the summer, maybe some friends they're like, "Oh, it's so nice. Let's walk to the beach." And I'm like, "Okay, walk to the beach." So we walk to the beach. I suppose yeah, walking to the beach. Yeah, maybe we're on the beach and then we have frisbee or we have a tennis ball, volleyball. I mean, sometimes I can just sit there and just have a book. Sometimes I'm like, okay, let's just stay to be social with you guys. So like, I feel like sometimes sport is kind of forced on people. It's kind of like it's kind of there, but books, it's not the same way really. It's not forced on you. Like if you don't like to read and you don't have friends to read, you might just go a long time without being exposed to books at all. And I think that's kind of sad. And yeah, again, I'm not saying that everyone should read as much as me. I think my goal is that everyone should know, or that everyone knows that there is a book for everyone, and that if you're bored, pick up a book. Instead of scrolling, pick up a book. Or yeah, a book, a valid, very good option for being entertained, for learning new stuff. It's so many reasons to read. So yeah, I mean, people should just check out books more often. Give me a moment. And yeah, now for real, or one more myth. Can't think like done this. Like you know what? I have one more myth. It's kind of same as before, but yeah. I'm reading books. Why do you read? I mean, why do you go around reading? I mean, reading books are just about old white guys who insert X or old white guys who solve crimes or old white guys who mansplain or blah 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 blah. So yeah, I think sometimes people feel like books, like lots of books, are just kind of just one thing that there's, as I said before, that there's not a book for like more or less every subject or more or less every person. And I suppose back in the day you kind of had that, but nowadays there's so many different books, but so many different people. Yes, like if you can think about it, there's probably a book about it. If you can think, that's an interesting thing. Maybe this book about it. Probably is. If it's not, it's probably someone thinking about writing that book, and it's coming out in a few years. Because yeah, there's a book about more or less everything, everything. And also, if you include podcast and yeah, nonfiction book, yeah, I would say you probably like go as far as saying there's a book about everything. I believe. I, more or less everything at least like every theme out there. So yeah, before you could say like I don't know, I don't really feel like see people like myself in books, and I could still never see that because like I mean some diseases are very rare. Some things are very rare. Like I mean sometimes you can't really find yourself in a book. Like for example me, a book about an LD came out a few years ago. I liked the book. I didn't love it because I thought some things were wrong, but it kind of still was nice to be seen and kind of have an LD aspect in the book. Uh, but yeah, I mean, yeah, even if people write about someone who's like, if people write about a person from San Diego who is 45 and likes to sleep on the floor instead of the bed, I mean, that might be a person who likes that, but maybe that's not quite that person experience. Like, no book is ever going to be precisely your experience, unless you read your diary, of course. But yeah, let's move on to again. Let's move on to show the variety of books out there. And of course, remember, I'm not going to show you all the books in the world. That would take me forever. But this is kind of a slice out of like all the cool books out there in the world. So we have a spy book, City Spies by James Ponti, first in the series. It's spies, teens being spies, traveling around the world. It's fast paced. It's different characters from different part of the world. It's kind of some neurodiverse head kind of, at least for me. Like I'm kind of reading a bit on a page at least. It's not on page, but like maybe that might happen. It's just very good. If you like spies, check out this book. If you like Marvel, but you want it to be more with like not just white guys, Heroine Complex, which is girls, women, Asian American women kicking ass, as you see, and some of them are lesbians and bi. So yeah, you have all different sort of aspects there. So much things here. Then you have Time Villains, which is all about what would you do, like that old question, like who would you invite if you could to a dinner table, like a dinner party of imagined and real people that are alive. And it's set in a middle grade universe, so some of the people is Blackbeard, so of course some hijinks happen, but also just a great concept. Skullduggery Pleasant, which again, it's a skeleton who solves crimes, and it's just so much sarcasm, and he is, I mean, and also like the series is just full of so much unexpected. I read this first because it's a long series. I read the first book when I was 19, and I've read a lot of books in my life before then. I read a lot of books after then. This is still one of my favorite series in regards of the twist it takes. Is just like whoa, whoa, whoa! You can never guess what happens. You might guess that in a few pages maybe there's laugh, in a few pages maybe someone gets hurt, but you can't guess who or what or why. It's just yeah, it's just so amazing. I mean, it's amazing concept. And of course, yeah, sorry, I forgot to do this one. I'm gonna jump in with last myth. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. You know what, I'm gonna do this one. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I'm sitting here reading. You're not reading. That that over there, it's not a book. It's a comic book. It's a graphic novel that doesn't count. Which, my God, the elitists, the idiotic of all the things in the world. I mean, yeah, it has pictures. Lots of books with letters have pictures in them as well. Just because it has pictures does not mean it's not a book. Does not mean it's not valid. You have lots of dialogue here from the characters. And even if you have a comic book with a little less dialogue, but still some dialogue, that's still a book. That still makes you kind of think about, like, you could put a book, like comic book, you can use that for a person who doesn't know a lot of words. And then they can learn to read because it's few words, or if the book has, like here, there's not that much writing here, but you can see like, oh, so they're having tea, they're talking together. You can imagine, you can make up what they're doing. You can, it's still an action, it's still a plot, even though it's not words all the time. And yeah, sorry, comic books, graphic novels are books. They're valid. If you like to read Spider-Man and Avengers or the Tea Dragon Society, my dear friend, you are a reader. Easy as that, really. Then, yeah, let's get back to the book recommendations. Then we have Pride, which is an interview book, non-fiction with a interview, so different people, so it's kind of questions and then some answers from different people. It's about a thing that happened in the 80s in Wales. It's about solidarity between minors and LGBTQ group. It's a book about solidarity, about being different, and yeah, it's just amazing read. And it's also kind of feel like this is a book that if you feel like LGBTQ books are always about people dying or people being hunted because they're different. This is a book about celebrating your differences, really, about coming together. Then you have like books like this, which is diary formed, so quite quick, fast, funny reads, easily read. The epic book, ultimate book of heroic failures. I mean, the worst football team on the planet, which is what Next Goal Wins was based off. The mugger who left his victim 250 better off. The boat trip, which required 11 lifeboat callouts. This is all, it's a non-fiction book. All things that happened. Not a big book. But yeah, all anecdotes about things that really happened. It's just, it baffles me to think that the world is so strange, but this is a book about all things that happened. And yeah, non-fiction as well. I think I said this before, again, non-fiction is a valid thing to read. If you love non-fiction, not fiction, go ahead, you're a reader. Still, you're a reader. And there's just so many different types of non-fiction books out there, and this is one of the, yeah, I always talk about it, but it's for a reason. It's just so good. Then we have Mystery and Mayhem, which is an anthology collection. So it's shorter stories. So you might pick up, read one story and then put it down. You don't have to read it in one go. This is a middle grade anthology story, but it's perfectly readable any age you are really, and yeah, very good. Accidental Medium, which is about a medium who's, it's kind of more a bit like shenanigans of real life, and then some supernatural elements to it, because it's not like, at least the first book isn't that supernatural filled, but it's there, and it's quite funny, and yeah. Then we have The Duke Heist, which is historical romance, as you might guess from the cover, though it kind of looks very steamy. It's not that steamy, it's steamy, but it's also about, it's called Duke Heist. It's very much heist filled, and honestly, it's one of my favorite books of all time. And yeah, it's just very good book. Highly recommend it. And yeah, also I forgot to say this. Also, you forget about things. I don't really write notes enough. But yeah, honestly, books though as well, also stories, it's just kind of someone thinking like, what if this happened? What if this happened and not this? So it's just kind of a big game of what if. And sometimes just kind of what if Sarah Hansen fell in love on the way to work. As easy as that. Or sometimes it's kind of like, what if a duke stole a portrait and he didn't want to give it back? What if a skeleton could solve crimes? I mean, that's kind of basic idea. And here it is, what if US had a royal house instead of presidency? What if George Washington became a king, not a president? This is what would have happened, because it's set in modern day, but it's like, it tells the story of what would have happened if the US still had a president, if the US had a king. It's also set in a world where France also still has a king, and the Russia still has a Tsar. So there's so many different things that are different, but it's still mostly US based. But it's just a cool idea, really. It's kind of cheesy fun, but it's also just quite interesting idea, really. This is the fairy tales you know, but retold for adults. So there's swearing, there's sex scenes, sex jokes, whatnot, and yeah, it's very fun. This is just kind of a quite short little book about fun facts about books, and yeah, it's a non-fiction, but it's a list and whatnot, and just a great book for book lovers. But also, like, if you want, like, if you just kind of want to tell people, like, you know what, I finished a book, pick up a short read, and then you can say quite quickly, you finished a book. This Libro Ridiculum, which is like a book about bizarre books, real books that have been published. This is like the cover, and then there's some facts about it. Yeah, this is a book. You can read it. Oscar Wilde quotes, both the quotes he did himself, because there are quite a lot of quotes in Jews, but also some quotes from his work. And yeah, if you want to just say you've read a book, pick up a quote book. So many quote books out there. Men to avoid in life and in art. This is someone who's taken art and given them some text to kind of to put with it. It's just so cool. My Plain Jane. What if Jane Eyre was a person, a real life person, and also Charlotte Bronte was a friend and not her author. This is that story. Or what if the president's son in the United States was falling in love with the Prince of UK? That's what happens here. Also, what if Trump didn't happen? Disability Visibility, which is a non-fiction book, but non-fiction book about like how it is to be disabled in the world. Mostly in UK, but in US, but also in UK and around the world. Essay story. So yeah. Also, I would say like in general, pick up essay book. Quick, fun, interesting. A bottle of rum and a bottle of rum, which is a story of the world in 10 cocktails, like based around rum. It's a story about pirates. It's a story about Caribbean. A story about slaves. It's a story of so many stuff pulled through rum. A great book. I'm only in it for the parking, which is Lee Ridley's book, or in a more known as Lost Voice Guy, which is a UK comedian who can't speak, but he still makes his own jokes. This is his biography about being a comedian and being disabled in the UK. Or what if gay mermaids or mer people? Hot guys and animals. I mean, this is a book. You have a big picture, you have some text, still a book. Or what if some spinsters in the 1800s started to solve crimes slightly in a way, like they kind of fall into becoming private eyes, and also spinsters in the 1800s. So I mean, they talked about it as old ladies, but they are in the 40s, so not really old, but for the time old. So, but yeah, this is an amazing book. All these are amazing. Why would I talk about them if not amazing? Or what if you didn't really have a love life, and the person you married was the first person you kind of went out with? This story. It is a non-fiction book, but it's not just about his love life, but it's a lot about that, and yeah, great book. Or what if you were rich and lost everything and you had to start over? This book, Stonebroke Heiress, think Legally Blonde, but in Liverpool, kind of very much the same vibe. Murder on a school night, or what if a murder happened, but it's also like feminism around it, and yeah, so cool. Very feminist based. So if you like feminist fiction, pick up this book. The Namat Book of Losers, all about losing around the world. It's a non-fiction book. But yeah, don't you kind of want to read about people having it worse than yourself? Pick up. I mean, a reason to read non-fiction is to be inspired, but also like think, oh, things could be so much worse. So yeah. Yeah, and then we have some more here. Bridget Jones, but with a Muslim main character instead of just only a British Muslim Pakistani main character. What if smart people were also idiots? The favorite of everything else. This is a non-fiction book, but it just baffles me so much that people believe in aliens and whatnot, and just yeah, it's a must read. Weird things customers say in bookstores. Granted, this one probably be better to read if you have read some other books because you kind of have some inside information. But like some of the things, like people, because this is real life anecdotes. But sometimes like people walk into bookstores like, "Where's the ball?" And like they're looking for ball and sports equipment, like in the bookstore, a sports store. So some things is kind of universal, though, but it's also just a very fun book. Lingo, which is all about languages around Europe. Did you think I was finished? No, 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 not yet. Mellomlinjene. So this is not out yet in English, but probably, hopefully, it will happen one day. And also just an example of like a cool book that exists, which is all about a woman in her 40s who gets diagnosed with ADHD, and she also works in publishing. And it's kind of her publishing shenanigans, but also love life and whatnot. Very fun. Til jord skal du bli, Anders Totland. This is about a 70-year-old who's kind of a curmudgeon, who he lives by himself in the countryside. He hasn't had contact with his family, and then suddenly these thugs, these MC people, come to his house and try to threaten him, and oopsie, he kills them because of self-defense reasons. And what's he gonna do with the bodies? So I suppose it's kind of Fargo-ish in a way, but it's just kind of, it's not a crime book. It's more like dark humor, dark thriller. It's not, I would say like it's dark humor book really. And yeah, it's just also absurd and so different from many other books. And yeah, most of these, some of these are just Norwegian books that don't exist in English yet, but like they're examples of like how weird and cool books can be. So yeah, Dean Vilma, which is about a woman in her 40s. She's not on page diagnosed, but she kind of reads as a person on a spectrum really, or like she's quite quirky anyway. But it's about her love life and shenanigans with her love life and her being her, and yeah, it's just a lovely, lovely story and series. A third book is on the way. Also, a movie is on the way, which is going to be published in international places. Elefantpassen in Belfast. I just found this in the library, but like, I mean, a book about uh, elephant keeper. That's just cool. I mean, cool cover, cool concept. Why would you not want to read this? Really? Folk med angst or people with anxiety. Fredrik Backman. I mean, just discover someone on a toilet in a rabbit hat. Just so cool. But it's about a burglary gone wrong. It's about a hostage situation and people from all parts of life who have different things to deal with. This book will make you cry, make you think about life, and make you think new thoughts. And it's just, honestly, it's one of the best books I've read in my life. Which, actually, this one I would say also is. Then we have Sophie Kinsella, just in Norwegian. But yeah, Sophie Kinsella's, honestly, I would say I much prefer Salmon than her series. I mean, she's famous for her Tripaholic series. I much, much prefer Salmon books. And they have like so cool hooks. I got your number. A person who loses her phone, so she steals another phone and she uses that phone instead. And it's just hilarious. And I mean, there's also romance in it, but like, I would say most of her books are firstly hilarious and shenanigans, and then some romance. So yeah, if you like to read, pick up Sophie Kinsella. And then last but not least, we have Tilly in Technicolor, a romance between an ADHD person and an autism person. So yeah, people on the spectrum, people with different brains can still find love and have love and work in life. And yeah, this I'm forever going to talk about this book because it's just so amazing. Examples like books can be so many things. This is a book about real notes that happened from workplaces. And this says the person who farts in elevator has to die. So I mean, yeah. So it's just kind of different notes from different parts of the world and whatnot, or like different places. And yeah, quite a quick read. I haven't read it yet, but like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. And yeah, this also, if you read this book, you're a reader or you have enjoyed a book. And almost last, The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World, are definitely huge. A non-fiction book written by a woman, which is not like often non-fiction books. It's very much written by men, which written by women. And yeah, this one definitely here for me. Haven't read it yet, but it just looks so cool. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I could go on and on and on. There's so many books out there. I mean, if you're curious, take a look at my channel. I have recommendations for a lot of stuff. Really, you could also generally just kind of Google if you're interested in whatever subject. Google books about this, or go to YouTube books, or just write in like boots or the First Napoleonic Wars or whatever. If it's something niche or something known, whatever, put it in a search engine, you will find a book about it. Guaranteed. If not a book about it specifically, it might be a book, it might be in a different book. Like about a book about war might also be about like a small war someplace. So yeah, so many books out there. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video and yeah, happy World Book Day! I hope you enjoy this video. As I said, hope you're maybe a bit inspired if you didn't read before now. Yeah, hope you have some good books to read today. If you go to a library or maybe pick up a book online or buy a book online or go to a bookstore. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.